I was born with a cleft palate and a lip, and my first surgery was when I was 3 months old to repair my lip, 1 year old to repair my palate, 9 years old because they found a hole under my lip. And then when I was 16, by the time my jaw had grown out a lot and I couldn't speak properly, I couldn't eat properly. So what they did was, in a 12-hour operation, they sawed the jaw down and they pushed it back and they locked it tight. For an entire month, I wasn't able to speak or to eat. And my mom had to basically draw up milk and fluids with a syringe and then stick it to the side of my cheek and let it flow back to my throat 5 times a day for an entire month. And then I had an op when I was 17 to correct the asymmetry in my nose because it was really heavily slanted one way. And then 18 because they realized that the screws that were in my mouth for the jaw op had corroded my gums. So that was just a quick op. So I had 6 operations through this entire process. I guess when I was young, I looked different, and so kids would point, they would laugh. I remember walking home from school one day and weaving through the void deck, and then this girl came up to me and said, "Oh my gosh, you're so ugly, you will never get married." And or like a little toddler cousin pointing at me and say, "Monster, monster," After I went through that operation when I was 16 years old, I could speak properly. I didn't have to lisp. I could eat properly. I could bite off an apple or a sandwich cleanly for the first time in my life. And I thought, for the first time, I looked semi-decent, semi-normal. And then at the time I was entering junior college and it was a new different life. There were games, parties, there were guys, just new exciting things going on. So I felt like, wow, that was the close of a chapter, and I felt like this is a new season and a new time. So at the point of time, I was just setting out, I had all these ambitions and great plans for myself. Man, all those dreams just started crashing down again because the doctor gave me a prognosis of, there's a 30% chance that this medication I'm recommending might work, another 30% chance that these symptoms might recur for life and you might be drug dependent, and another 30% chance that by the age of 40 or 50, you could have kidney failure. And at the age of 24, that was pretty hard news. So a friend once shared with me that suffering is often the gap between what you expect and what is reality. And when we can't come to terms with that gap, we throw ourselves into bewilderment or to depression. So for myself, learning to accept reality for what it is, learning to accept that yes, there are limitations to myself at this point of time, but also not stopping there, because if I just lower all my expectations and I stay at that point, I'm never going to get better. So it's kind of holding the two in balance. I discovered that I loved singing when my dad brought home a karaoke set when I was about 5 or 6. And we sang cheesy 80s hits like Great Pretender and Eternal Flame and Woman in Love. And since then I realized, hey, I really love singing. So when the time came to choose a ECA in school, I chose the choir, and I've never left since. I've just been in the choir at secondary school and junior college. And after I graduated from junior college, I wanted to take a shot at singing pop, singing solo. So I took some classes, and then I went to university where there were tons of open mics. From then on, I started writing, and it was all for personal use. It wasn't intended to be shared out. But my friends encouraged me, and so I started sharing. And the more I shared, the more positive the response was. And it came to be that when I came back to Singapore, my friend, a good friend and a mentor, he offered to produce an album for me. So my first album was in 2010, and it was a personal, kind of faith-based album. And that led to even more shows and opportunities. In 2012, I produced the second one. And then there was a long gap because I was trying to deal with the sickness. So from 2012, 2017 was my recent release, Hideaway EP, which was released last October. So my hope is that Hideaway would just encourage people, no matter where, what they've been through. And I think there's a line in one of my songs which goes, take courage, you are not alone, you'll win the odds, you'll overcome, hold on, you'll be okay. Yeah, so I think that summarizes kind of when they too are searching for their identity in a place that's hidden away.
So run along and do your thing.